Villains are of all kinds. Some are motivated by greed, while some are motivated by their rigid beliefs. But both of those drivers meet when there comes a villain who's so adamant about installing his dogmatic idea of good around the world. Such a character intends his very obviously evil actions through the lens of achieving moral superiority. In today's case, we have a hell-bent ideology that takes form in a brutally fearful character, using their religion and the idea of reaching heaven as a license to destroy what they assume to be related to the devil. We're talking about the Curse. Philip Kron was raised by and eventually became a religious zealot himself. His entire life was dedicated to the relentless pursuit of heaven. From a very young age, he sought to prove his devotion through committing extreme acts of self-sacrifice. As a boy, he removed his left eye and permanently disfigured his face with a deep horizontal scratch from a rusty metal fence across his right eye. Years later, he took it a step further and literally severed his right arm, calling that another testament to his unwavering, though questionable, faith. When sent for treatment, the doctors were quick to dismiss his actions, diagnosing them as nothing but a form of attention-seeking. It seemed clear that no intervention could sway Philip's single-minded, unfazed devotion to God. After many years of feeling his prayers went unanswered, a profound shift took place. Philip decided to begin living life as others expected him to, by pursuing higher education and in time hoping to accumulate a substantial amount of wealth. And well, he did go on to be very successful and filthy rich in life. But this fortune allowed him to rebuild himself, literally. He'd started working on himself, and soon enough, he engineered a whole new arm, fusing it with technological enhancements, which helped him design it to be far stronger and more advanced than his original one before its sacrifice. But with his newfound resources, he delved right into the occult, ending up seeking esoteric knowledge and alternative paths to achieve his ultimate goal, which was still securing a place in heaven. His hardcore fanaticism with his faith made him aspire to become the person who leads God's army against the forces of hell. With that in mind, let's now move to Spawn issue number 27, which was released in 1995. This issue dealt with a new character, a villain in this case, going after Spawn. The new character is called the Curse, which happens to be the pseudonym of none other than Philip Kron. The enigmatic billionaire, now a chilling cyborg, bears a striking resemblance to a darker version of Dr. Doom in appearance. Issue number 27 begins with him traveling to New York with a singular purpose, not to eliminate Spawn as a perceived evil, but to merely test him. His constant conviction at this point is that Spawn is actually the Lord's chosen one, and his journey is a deliberate mission to make sure he truly embodies the divine warrior he believes him to be. His dedication to achieving his goal makes him overlook and underplay the other problems he noticed in New York, like drugs and homelessness. But we do get to know later that the Curse had hired a few homeless individuals to help him locate and get to Spawn. Now we move to Spawn, and we see him mourning the loss of his best friend Bobby, who suffered a major attack at the cunning hands of the Youngbloods from an earlier issue. But Spawn considers himself guilty of having received such a personal loss due to possibly his own error. As a way of making amends, he decides to revive his friend, and usually such practice requires a sacrifice. He does say that he doesn't feel too well, but right then, out of the blue, and in his very vulnerable state, he's attacked. It was done by none other than the Curse, who unleashed a devastating blast from his advanced arm cannon, which ended up tearing a devastating hole through Spawn's body, leading him to seeming bested. This leads the Curse to reach a conclusion right away, that Spawn is not the chosen one. Someone really worthy of such a privileged title wouldn't have been knocked out so easily, and definitely wouldn't have been this quick to be defeated. He leaves by calling Spawn nothing more than a minion of Satan instead. Later on in the issue, we get to see the Curse around those who helped him get to Spawn, as he's delivering a sermon in Rat City's alleys. He talks about himself here and addresses not just his accomplices, but the audience as well. Who he was, where he came from, what has made him this way, what his relationship with God is, and what he seeks. All of these questions are answered by him in one way or another. It really gives perspective to this antagonist. And while it seems morally wrong to side with his beliefs and actions, we understand that this is someone with feelings, and those feelings are passionate enough to drive him into committing such horrific acts, which he would surely consider reasonable and justifiable. But there's a far greater metaphor that the characters stand for, reaching beyond the comic book pages into profound examples we've seen in the real world. The Curse serves as a chilling and apt metaphor for a fanatical form of zealotry and the destructive nature of rigid, self-serving beliefs. His severe mental illness is also his most significant weakness, which happens to be self-mutilation and relentless pursuit of a divine favor, even if it means resorting to brutal and unethical means, starkly highlighting the inherent dangers of unchecked religious extremism that happens to border on masochism. He represents how faith can be twisted and corrupted when intertwined with personal ambition, a desire for control, and a desperate craving for divine validation, ultimately transforming the very essence of good into a monstrous, self-serving endeavor. Meanwhile, Spawn, a being resurrected from the dead and caught between the factions of heaven and hell, embodies the struggle for redemption and the defiant fight against a predetermined fate. His existence reflects the universal human condition representation of battling internal demons while navigating the overwhelming pressures of external forces. He symbolizes the individual's quest for meaning while searching for purpose and constantly challenging authority amidst immense suffering. Now, these two metaphors play a big part in understanding the conflict that arose in the very next scene. Now back to the story, and still in the alleyway, we continue to hear the curse ramble about his relationship with God, but now with a twinge of disappointment when he talks about his prayers never being answered. He justifies why he ended up harming himself, which was made obvious by the fact that he was so obsessively adamant about doing the Lord's work, just to ensure his recognition in the eyes of God. It's during this very moment that Spawn abruptly confronts the curse for a rematch, demanding a fair fight after the curse's previous sneak attack. Spawn, fueled by anger, challenges the curse's dishonorable tactics, asserting that a true warrior faces his opponent head-on. This sets the stage for an intense battle. Spawn ends up brutally destroying the curse by demolishing his bionic arm and giving him a severe beatdown. Spawn then crucified the curse on the wall in that alley, showcasing a reckless display meant to serve as a stern warning to all his enemies that those territories belonged exclusively to him. But as stated earlier, the metaphors of their personality and what they represent, while in stark contrast with one another, are translated into a literal contest here. It's more than just a clash of physical might, it's a profound clash of beliefs. As they fight, their opposing worldviews become central to the conflict. This intellectual and spiritually violent debate unfolds across several pages, with each blow exchanged almost mirroring the collision of their deeply held convictions, turning the battle into a powerful exploration of faith, doubt, and the nature of divinity itself. Issue number 27 dealt with the first impression of the curse, along with his first episode as an antagonist to Spawn. This involved two confrontations with Spawn, his introduction as a character with a backstory to the people he has interacted with, his objectives, and his final state by the end of the issue. All of this is revealed to the audience, but after the second battle with Spawn, he managed to stay alive. The curse realizes that God has forsaken him and makes a decision to now fight his own battles, starting with Spawn. But his story doesn't end there. In the coming issues, we learn about the character by keeping track of his process as a regular subplot. After his defeat by Spawn, the curse was discovered by the vampire demon hunter John Sansker. While still pinned there, Sansker, seeking information about Spawn's alleged evil deeds, mercilessly tortured the curse and even took him to a bell tower to continue his cruel interrogation. To escape this torment, the curse cunningly lied about Spawn by falsely claiming that Spawn had performed heinous acts. Eventually, the curse managed to break free from his captivity and return to his lavish mansion. There he began to plot his ultimate revenge. He used his proficient skills in gadgetry to recuperate from his severe injuries by creating and integrating even more cybernetic and demonic parts into his body. When he felt that his earlier failure against Spawn had forever barred his entry into heaven, the curse's ambition shifted drastically. He now sought to gain all the knowledge of hell itself, with the audacious goal of throwing over Malebolgia and transforming hell into his kingdom. The curse resurfaced later in the comic Curse of the Spawn, where he first helped Tony Twist, the Italian mob boss, for sadistic needs, and then ultimately betrayed him, as he was hit by Twist's car and shot multiple times. To make things worse, volatile chemicals in his nearby lab were also struck, causing a massive explosion that swallowed everyone involved. Yet, given the curse's history of surviving seemingly fatal events, and the fact that he's never been shown in hell like other defeated Spawn villains, such as Kincaid or Freak, it's highly unlikely that he's truly dead. The curse then made a comeback during the Jim Downing era, clashing with Downing, who was the new Spawn at the time. However, this return was short-lived, as the curse was ultimately killed soon enough. Later, after Al Simmons returned as Spawn, he used his powers to bring the curse back, not as a living being, but as an undead zombie pawn. The curse, along with other familiar foes like Freak, Overkill, and Cygor, became part of Simmons' army in his ongoing war against both heaven and hell. The curse was also seen again as a zombie in Spawn number 290, still under Al's command. More recently, in Scorch, the curse was finally freed from Al Simmons' control. Now independent, he returned to his old ways, creating powerful beings called the Sin Devourers, with the twisted goal of destroying the Spawn team and finally taking control of humanity. And there you have it, the story of the curse. Haunting, grotesque, and relentless. We don't just see a villain, we see a monster. We see a terrifying presence with a purpose. A purpose driven by dogmas so strong that what he sees through the lens of his ever-rigid beliefs seems reasonable when, in reality, it's horrifyingly evil. The curse hits deeper when you realize that he's not just a villain, but a dystopic mirror on society and its individuals, in particular on fundamentalism and zealotry, and the terribly disastrous repercussions of them. May be extreme, but definitely worth being concerned about and noticing around you. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to drop a like and do share it with your friends. And please feel free to subscribe to Marvelous Videos for more such content. Until next time, take care and ciao!